You know what's fucked up? The match I'm looking forward to the most for WrestleMania is the women's match. Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. It's a fucking dream match. The Queen versus the Empress of Tomorrow. What fucking more could you ask for?
Are you out of your fucking mind? I don't know what's worse. Asuka's English or Charlotte's tits?
Oh, Jesus.
It's time for another wrestling podcast.
All right. Welcome to episode 183 and a half, because you have no idea what just happened. I'm Frito.
I'm Minority Mike.
And I'm everyone's favorite asshole, the social assassin, Angry Cooter, bitches.
That's right. Another wrestling podcast is on. This is what we're doing, guys. If you are just sticking around, if you're joining us for the first time, stay tuned. Mike Quackenbush is going to be joining us. He's the CEO, the founder, Chikara. I say Chikara. Chikara. It's my accent. I don't know. It's Chikara to me, but it's probably Chikara to you. Tomato. We love it.
Potato, bitches.
Some of the craziest and wildest wrestling you'll ever see. Some of the storylines. It's definitely worth checking out, guys. So stay tuned for that. Mike Quackenbush is going to be joining us. But hey, it's been 5 minutes. Has the Fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal changed the name yet again? Now it's the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. Is it going to change to just Women's Battle Royal? Then just
Is
Battle
it
Royal?
the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal now?
Yeah, they changed it.
After all that.
Wow.
The power of the internet.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
The Godfather was correct. Pimpin' ain't easy.
Pimpin' ain't
Oh
easy.
my
Pimpin' ain't
God.
I knew there was... Well, we joked about it before. Like, I knew... I didn't think it was that that intense that people are like, this is the year, man. Everybody's just getting called out on shit. This is it.
What was it? 2 shows ago, I called it the Big Bertha Faye Memorial Battle Royal as a joke. And then last week, we were talking about it. And I said I did call it Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal. And holy shit. But you know what? This is why I don't go on Twitter. The people on Twitter are savages. I mean, dude, the names that they were coming up with for these fucking new matches that they were creating were just like despicable. Like the Hall of Fame, we're gonna have the Chris Benoit Father of the Year award.
No, it's a Father's Day Memorial Battle Royal. That was my favorite one.
Oh God, I saw one that was so bad. It was the Jose Gonzalez Shower Invitational. I was like, oh my God, you dudes are savage. People were just going on and on and on with these fucking names of these battle royals and matches. I saw one. It was the Sid and Arn scissors on a pole match that they're gonna have at WrestleMania. Like fantastic stuff, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it, guys. I did not know that you think they would have thought about this, the backlash. Nobody in the meeting said Vince, she was a fucking, nobody just reinstated well, it's kind of on the internet. Do they not Google anybody anymore? I mean, just by Googling, Fabulous Moolah, and just everything shows up. It's amazing.
I'll tell you something though. It takes one sponsor for the WWE to fucking panic and go crazy. Fans can throw out all the backlash they want. And I guarantee you, if Snickers didn't mention this, it would come Monday, it would still be the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal. It would still be it. But when Snickers reached out to the WWE and mentioned it, this is not a good look for us to be attached to this name. You don't mess with the WWE's money. You don't. And they clearly was just like, a sponsor's going to drop us. We need to get this out of here.
I found the thread, and it's on Facebook.com/groups/ProWrestlingMarks. Cooter, the Jimmy Snuka death match is on the pre-show.
Stop it. Don't put my name attached to this shit. What else do we have on there?
I have, I got it, the Moolah Jambi prison match. I also, what else? We got some people. The Miss Elizabeth Skiing Championship Open was canceled.
That was me. Yeah, that one was me.
Mike Awesome strap match. The Superfly dating service.
That was also me. Yes, the Mike Awesome strap match. Yes.
And then
so apparently I'm the biggest savage. I know. I'm sorry. I blamed everybody else but myself.
The Jeff Hardy Substance Abuse Center. So people just started making buildings off of this.
There was the Hulk Hogan Black History Award.
That was a good one.
Oh man, The Enzo Amore ring wrap Braun panties bada boom in the room match.
Oh wow, I didn't see that one.
That was me, baby. And here one I have Neville gonna put you over, Neville gonna leave the show, never gonna desert you, Rick Royal Rumbled match. Wow. Neville, I gotta sing it like that. I did no justice what I wrote there. The Psycho Sid 7 more Madman Memorial Rumble. I don't know. People are just, it's crazy. There's a lot of stuff on there. And it was just funny though, because I mean that whole thing started a riot online. Man, who'd have fucking known the Fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal? They had a fucking trophy dipped in gold or whatever they made it out with. And that's what do they do with that now? Is that going on? Like I think you said, where are they going to sell that now?
Let Go. It's going to be on Let Go. They're going to try to give it away for cost.
No,
or you're going to see it on Craigslist.
Man, that's going to be in that fucking warehouse in Stanford, right next to the Punjabi prison match that they'll never fucking use again.
Scrap metal prices went up these days. So.
It's the power of the internet, guys. I guess since we can't really get Roman Reigns out of the main event, I guess everybody decided to turn on the Fabulous Moolah Memorial name. And that was the yes movement of 2018, I guess.
Did it surprise anybody? Because when they had that women's tournament last year, they went Mae Young, which I thought was really cool. I was surprised that they went Mae Young, but then again, I really wasn't surprised because I mean, everybody knows Moolah's history. I mean, come on, it is what it is. But for them to okay, now we're gonna give her a fucking battle royal. I was surprised that they even tried to make that fly. Oh, God.
A lot of things are happening. Let's just get right into the week that was, because there is so much going on. All right. This is not a Japanese thing. I want to state first. I hate
racist.
I hate having to say. You know, it's horrible when the first thing you have to say is, I'm not racist, but...
yeah, right. Of course not. You got black friends too, Credo, right?
I got them. I know them. I say hi to them. Do. No, of course. I love everybody. But Asuka's promos, man. Asuka, I'm not even making fun of that she can't speak good English. She shouldn't have to. She grew up in fucking Japan. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that somebody backstage said, just go with it. She's not. I mean, her talking honestly did no justice for her character as being this undefeatable. Now she's just all right. Now it's just somebody fucking pin her. Stop with the promos. Give her fucking Paul Heyman. Give her somebody else. Hell, I don't even need to hear her speak. Just do what you're doing and don't cut a promo again. That's all I have to say.
You know what worked with her best was in NXT, where she talked but she didn't say much. She maybe said a couple lines here and a couple lines there. It was very simple and very short. And they didn't even script her stuff. They just told her what to say. And she basically said nobody's ready for Asuka the majority of the time. But she said it with some violent tones, and it was great. Now you bring her to the main roster where they want to write you a fucking storybook of stuff to say. I mean, guys like Nakamura, he's another one that you don't need him talking a lot. You just need him saying a couple things to get across, and it's fine. It just didn't come across very good. I mean, granted, that match is still going to be one of the best matches on the card. Sure, but just her talking,
it did no justice. Yeah,
that's it.
All right, I got to agree with you and I got to disagree with you because you brought up Nakamura, and last week I made mention of the Nakamura Day right before when he was going to face Rusev at Fastlane. I thought it was hilarious because he didn't say much. I did not have a problem with Asuka this week. To be the woman, you got to beat the woman, and I want to face the best. That was all she really needed to say. And then she, like Mikey said, should have just dropped her because nobody's ready for Asuka, and that would have been perfect. But Credo,
I agree.
I'm gonna say something to you because I poked the bear this morning on Facebook because Asuka, the streak finally needs to end. A year ago around this time, yes. And I want the listeners to go back a year and talk about how Credo was like, I can't stand Charlotte. She's a 5-time, 6-time champion, whatever the fuck it is.
That was then.
And she's only been on. That was you.
That was then.
And now you're all over those fucking droopy titties. That one left droopy one. And it's like, I hope she beats Asuka because that streak needs to end. You are the epitome of contradicting yourself at every turn, my friend.
I got things change as we get older. We change with the times. I'm a different man than I was last year. By
the time you reach your 40s, you'll start loving Japanese people.
Oh, it'll happen again. But he is true. I did say that. But I'll tell you what. It's still staying the same because they were just shoving her down. Like, she was, the 20th time champion in like 3 months. It was like, all right, stop. There's other women on there to like just hold on to the title. Then don't just keep going back and forth with it. But at this point, man, WrestleMania is building up to where like I want to see Vince. I want to see that shock moment again, to where it's like Asuka loses, or what's going to be the big shock this year. And I don't know. That's what I'm going with. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I wanted to see. I want to see her loser streak. But anyway, what's good about that too is Carmella could still totally ruin the show, or definitely elevate her character if Asuka does win, cashes in, or if Asuka loses, cashes in on Charlotte. I mean, not many people talk about Carmella, but this is a way to boost her. I don't know. That could be another big screw job to where it's a shock moment. It's like
she's on a winning streak lately.
Yeah, so they're making her look strong.
Pretty strong lately, too.
You know what's really funny about this? I don't think it would be believable, because I have a feeling Asuka's going over on Charlotte, and it's not going to be believable if she cashes in on Asuka.
Absolutely not.
Unless there's like outsider interference.
Hear me out.
No, you're right.
Why do I have a feeling? Because it seems like if Asuka's going to win, she's going to be on SmackDown, because she's going to be the SmackDown Women's Champion.
Yeah, I think it's a move.
Does anybody have a feeling? Because it looks like we're getting Alexa Bliss. And,
Nia.
And does it have a feeling that she might cash in on one of them?
You know what?
Nobody's
they didn't
thought of
specifically say where that contract can be cashed in at.
Well, that's the thing. The brand split is ending at after WrestleMania. As far as pay-per-views go, they're doing co-pay-per-views now. So it's no more Raw pay-per-view, no more SmackDown pay-per-view. So that could be the beginning, that could be a good, that could be another way.
Well, I don't think they're gonna like put the rosters together, but I think they're still gonna have separate shows with separate rosters. But I have a feeling if we're having this superstar shakeup, it'll be some controversy. Like, well, you know what? Because Asuka's on SmackDown, Carmella's gonna go to Raw. That's gonna be part of the shakeup. So we're gonna let it slide. I guarantee you, Carmella is going to be Raw Women's Champion. If not at WrestleMania, the day after on Raw.
Well, I got a question, though, because now that one thing leads to another on here. The Raw Women's Champion, when they're doing co-pay-per-views, even though it's Raw and SmackDown, isn't it going to be kind of weird to have, like, this is the Raw Women's Championship match, this is the SmackDown. I think some of those could be unified, no? Or... I mean, it's different shows, but it's the same pay-per-view. There's going to be too many, like, double, like, tag team championship match.
No, you know why? Here's what I have a feeling that they're going to do. If you have the Universal title on the pay-per-view, unless it's one of the big four, you're not going to have a WWE Championship match. If you have an Intercontinental Championship match, you're not going to have a U.S. title match. If the Raw Women's, so on and so forth, you get what I'm saying. I think you're going to have your top belt on one of the shows defended, one of the secondaries, one of the tag teams, and one of the Raw Women or one of the women's championships defended. And you know what? I'm okay with that, because we're not going to be constantly seeing Roman Reigns defend the Universal title, et cetera, et cetera. It mix it up. It makes it's that's why, like Mike, we talk about UFC cards. You're not seeing the same guy on every card, and that's what makes it interesting. You get invested in a certain storyline. Or a certain fight, and it's like, okay, this guy's headlining next month. What do you have for me? Give me something different. I think this could be good.
I'll tell you, son, right now, I think you're going to get, like, after the shakeup and once they break it down to just one pay-per-view a month, you're going to see a lot of competition going on in that locker room, because they're not going to put stuff on the pay-per-view like, Fashion Files. Those spots are going to be special on the pay-per-view because you have two brands that you have to fill spots with. So you're going to have so much competition for people to get those spots. Like, you're just not going to see a Ty Dillinger on a pay-per-view unless he's in a special match and he has to compete for those spots. So I think this is going to be great that for us fans. We're going to see some of the best wrestling, because I don't want to see other stuff dragged out, because I don't want to see these shows be more than 3 hours, because if they go longer than 3 hours, I'm probably going to kill myself. Because if I,
it's gonna be an older show. I love it.
In my damn living room every Sunday night for 6 hours watching these shows, to do 3 hours on Monday, to 2 hours on Tuesday, to 1 hour on Wednesday, they are going to burn me out.
It's like literally 3.5 on a Tuesday, bro.
I know.
In the group again, I posted an NXT thread where people can talk and all comment on the same show, and one person's like, "Where is everybody?" I was like, "Everybody just spent 7 hours in 2 days watching wrestling. They're gonna wait to watch NXT because they watch it whenever they want." And it's it, man. It's it. It's like 2 days.
WrestleMania weekend wipes me out because I'm watching every single independent show I can get my hands on to watch. And then leading in, you got the Hall of Fame, you got the NXT show, then you got Mania, which is like a 12-hour day. And then you got the next day, you have 3 hours of Raw. Then you have 2 hours of SmackDown, 1 hour NXT. Holy shit.
Don't forget 205 Live. And
oh my God,
challenge
205 Live, that's 3 hours on Tuesday.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, man.
I forgot about that.
3.5 because of the mixed match challenge on top of it.
So, rewinding all the way back to these co-branded pay-per-views, keep it at 3 hours. So that's why we have to get everybody who deserves a pay-per-view spot on there. And those who don't get the spot, better luck next time. I don't want to deal with you.
Guys, this is great because everybody listening out there too, you know, we have a number you can call. It's like calling a voicemail. Don't be afraid to call because nobody calls on the phone anymore. I'm not going to pick it up if you call. I can't. So if you call this number, you can leave us a message, talk to us, because I think we could do a whole other show about what's going to happen after Mania. 802-297-7672. That's 802-AWP. 7672. Call, leave a message. Don't talk forever because I think it only records for like 2 or 3 minutes. So let us know what you're doing out there. But guys, speaking of from Asuka promo that led to that, now let's lead to the John Cena promo calling out The Undertaker. I loved it. This was good. He had fun with the fans. This is the kind of John Cena I like seeing every so often. But he got real talking to the Undertaker where he said something about Dead Man. I don't know. It's a great promo. But guys, it's Mania season. We're getting Cena and Undertaker. Is it too little, too late, or perfect time, perfect place? What is it?
I'm all right with it. You know what? It's the match that I've always wanted to see. You know, the problem with it is obviously Undertaker's done. He's old as fuck. But in this case, I'm all right with it because John Cena, I think, could possibly make him look better than Roman Reigns did.
Yeah.
Now, me and Mike have argued. I've said John Cena's a ring general. He says no. He says that it's other people who've made him look better. But John Cena is one of those guys who can control a match. He might not be the ring general of an AJ Styles. He might not be as good as, say, a Shawn Michaels or a Triple H. But he knows how to control the tempo of a match. He knows what he's doing. And I think, he'll know exactly what to do to help Undertaker look good. Because what Roman did to him last year was just the shits.
No, you're absolutely right, though. I don't think he's seen as a ring general, but you hit it right on the head. He can control a match. So this whole thing, the promo on Raw. Now, the rumors circulating that we're not getting Dead Man Taker. We might be getting the American Badass, which for me, it adds a twist to this match. I'm okay with this. They hinted at it because when you listen to Cena's promo, it sounds like he's not talking to Undertaker. He's talking to Mark Calloway, the man, because he called out. He pretty much, no one's ever done this before. He humanized Mark Calloway. He called out about his wife's post on Instagram.
That's right, man.
Putting out workout videos on your wife's Instagram.
I even looked that up as soon as he said it. I was like, I got to check this out.
Yeah, he's calling out the man. He's not calling out the gimmick. And if you rewind back to WrestleMania 33, Taker took off the hat, took off the gloves,
that's what I was going to say, for sure,
and left that in the ring.
Yep.
Now, he never said he was retired. He just put all that stuff in the ring. Maybe he just retired the dead man gimmick.
Yeah.
And maybe he's coming back as the American Badass. Maybe that was the plan for a year. Maybe they just light bulb went off with creative and they finally found something that might actually work. I am okay with the American Badass because it's different. It's something that I haven't seen in a while. And it's great for a stage like WrestleMania for a couple of reasons. One, because when Mark Calloway, The Undertaker, gets to cut a promo, he actually gets a chance to fire back as Mark Calloway and not talking like this and being slow and methodical. Not only that, and the biggest benefit of the American Badass versus the Dead Man is that if he comes as the American Badass, we are guaranteed the Taker will be in the ring with under a minute. Rather than a 5 because he's riding that motorcycle down to that fucking ring. And we aren't going to sit here for 10 minutes until he gets there. So I think it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And you got Kid Rock going into the Hall of Fame, too.
Yeah, that's it, man.
And he sang the theme song.
No,
so I think it's perfect.
Badass. But, that kind of sucks, though. You're right. There goes my piss break from fucking WrestleMania. The entrance.
Well, it does make sense. I agree with you that he definitely ended the character last WrestleMania. He came back for Raw 25, but it was like he didn't do anything. He had this hood on the whole time. It was so weird. But hey, man, I would like to see that too. It's like, at what point do you just stop being the Undertaker? It's like, we get it,
you're gonna have those fans that are gonna bitch and complain, but it's the Dead Man. It's that character. It's. Look it. He retired the character last year. You might not have been alive when the American Badass was killing people on the roster, but if you really want to look back at it, Cena's first match against Kurt Angle, right, when he debuted on SmackDown, who was the guy that shook Cena's hand backstage?
Badass.
It was the American Badass, The Undertaker. So it goes that deep with these two. So I think, you didn't have me when they rumored Dead Man Undertaker versus John Cena, but now that these rumors are coming out about the American Badass, now you have my attention.
It almost feels like this should have happened after he lost the streak. Like when the streak ended, the Undertaker should have ended. Then he should have took, did the hat thing, whatever. And then the next year, if he went against Bray Wyatt as the American Badass, I would have been okay with that match because there's no more streak. We don't have to keep living in the Undertaker. What's he gonna do? And it would have been different. So
see, I don't think that would have worked because the whole point with Bray Wyatt was the mind games. The same way that
I thought it was the passing of the torch, and I was
whatever. Here, this is why I love the American Badass. One of my favorite WrestleMania matches, believe it or not, is the American Badass, The Undertaker versus Ric Flair, WrestleMania 18. Very underrated match.
It was a great match.
Amazing match. And the build-up to that with The Undertaker for weeks and weeks and weeks going at Flair. And, him beating up was it David Flair? Yeah.
David Flair.
Oh, my God. Beating up Arn backstage. This blood is on your hands type of deal. Like, that's great because you're right. I want to see him talk like a man the way he used to in those days, not the rest in peace in a 20-minute entrance.
I know.
Get on that motorcycle, motherfucker. That'll make WrestleMania go down from 8 hours to 7 hours if he comes as the American Badass.
Well, you even said it to Kid Rock, though, guys. Kid Rock is the newest inductee into the 2018 Hall of Fame, leaving one more spot, I believe. But guys, Kid Rock, when they tried showing his video and why he's in it, okay, he had music, but he's never done a spot in the ring. It's always just been singing, right? So right. I like Kid Rock when I was growing up, but still, I'm like, I'm just done with these weird.
The way they produced that video, they made him seem like he was like the fucking pulp. like he was the greatest thing that ever happened to WWE, man. I like you said, I liked Kid Rock's music. I thought he was, I loved the American Badass. I loved all his other songs. But they really made him feel like he was like the headliner of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right, wait a minute. You're all forgetting something very important. Why the fuck would you put Kid Rock in the Hall of Fame where you had him perform at WrestleMania?
Yep.
Now, this is before they had that Women's Battle Royal at WrestleMania. Past and present. The one where Santina Morella won. Yeah. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
The Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal.
Whatever the fuck it was. True story, and I could be wrong, but when the DVD came out for WrestleMania, they cut his performance out because they couldn't come to terms with rights for him and his music during that performance. So they literally cut out Kid Rock performing for the DVD.
He's actually doing the theme song of WrestleMania this year, too.
This year, sure, of course. Yeah. And I'm sure he's getting paid the rights for that. But this motherfucker wanted the rights to be paid for the DVD.
And now he's in the Hall of Fame.
And now he's in the Hall of Fame. I could be wrong, but I remember reading that somewhere.
Now, my question, if he's not, singing out Taker for his entrance, do we see interaction between Kid Rock and Elias at WrestleMania? Or do we see, Elias elsewhere, which we'll probably get to that later on? What do you see Kid Rock doing? Is he going to be, doing he's obviously going to be doing a performance. Let's be real here. I think that's going to be our musical guest, our bathroom break. But does he actually interact with Elias, or does he do something with Taker?
I don't know, because Taker's had a bunch of theme songs. I mean, I'm pretty sure that was the first one he used, but then or was it? I don't know if that was the first one, because I want to say that they used Rollin' from Limp Bizkit.
Rolling was the first one. You're absolutely right.
And then they used American Badass, and then they had some generic and bullshit. Where you know what? Gong.
Whatever happened to Limp Bizkit?
They are not even in.
Because they were a big part of the WWE for a little bit, and then they just disappeared. Like the WWE just forgot them. I think Limp Bizkit pretty much put as much effort into the WWE as Kid Rock did.
Kid Rock was in before Fred Durst.
WrestleMania 19, they actually had a song. It was called Crack Addict. Me and you argued over this because you were talking about how one of their songs was for Rock Austin Part 2. They actually had a separate song for Rock Austin 3 called Crack Addict that wasn't available on any of their albums. And I'll never forget when they actually played it out at WrestleMania. They performed it at WrestleMania 19, I believe it was. Welcome to WWE's favorite band. And now Kid Rock is in the Hall of Fame before
Wait,
favorite band.
Now I got to really look into this now, because you bring up WrestleMania 19, and I remember Limp Bizkit doing the performance for the American Badass Undertaker coming out.
No.
Was it? Are you sure? WrestleMania 19 was in Safeco Field.
They opened the show with Crack Addict. They might have. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Taker came out during their performance when he had that handicap match with the Big Show and I think it was Prince Albert.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to figure out who came first. Did Kid Rock come first, or did Limp Bizkit come first? Because now it's confusing me, because WrestleMania 19 took place in 2003, right? American Badass character debuted. I want to say, I remember when he debuted because it was The Rock versus Triple H in an Iron Man match. And that's when he first debuted as the American Badass. And I think that was like 99, 2000. I might be wrong. So if there's listeners that are listening, tweet at us and let me know.
Well, here's the interesting thing from what I remember, because, God, Limp Bizkit's first album, I want to say, was like 99 or 98, somewhere in there. Their second album, Significant Other, that had Rollin'. No, that was 2000.
You guys are killing yourself. I'm trying to remember.
Kid Rock came out. The song American Badass came out before Rollin' did. And I could be wrong.
Either way, Kid Rock's going into the Hall of Fame before Fred Durst.
I was going to say, after all that.
Why are we talking about Limp Bizkit? Get the fuck out of here.
Because it bothered me.
Okay.
Well,
it's my fault, probably, because I did bring it up.
Well, if only Kid Rock entered the ultimate deletion, set for next week on Raw. Guys, this could have been Mania. This could have been a little fun event in between Mania. It could have been your piss break. We're doing it on Raw. Are we going to get more? What more is going to happen to this? Is this going to lead into Mania for them, too? Is this going to be another match for them, or what? The ultimate deletion, set for next week.
I think this is going to be quite entertaining, to be honest. It's going to kind of like escape from reality like all the other deletions did. It's going to be wacky. It's going to be out there. And I'm okay with it. I'm actually okay with it happening now rather than Mania, because I can't take this feud anymore. I can't wait another 4 weeks for this to finally come to a conclusion. And it has to happen.
But even too, this is where we're going to start introducing family members, and I hear Jeff Hardy was, I guess, seen filming something, whatever, in this, but he was also busted the same week for a while with the DWI. It doesn't matter. Are they still going to use Jeff Hardy? Can a little DWI slip underneath the carpet?
I mean, is it a DWI or is it a DUI?
Driving while impaired. I don't know. DWI.
Okay, so I mean, it's an alcohol thing. It's not because everyone's like, "Oh, I thought those days were behind you," because this was, the pills and all the drugs that he was on. If it's a DWI, like, all right, you did something very, very stupid by driving drunk, but it's not illegal to drink, and you're not fucking smoking weed and failing drug tests. Like, okay, the guy fucked up. He had a good night at a bar, smacked up his vehicle. He's going to have to pay a lot of lawyer fees and fines and shit like that. God knows whatever else. I mean, you kind of need him to make this storyline because, Mike, remember you said last week, if this is going to work for you, you got to start introducing the Broken Universe. You need a Senor Benjamin. You need a King Maxwell. You need a Brother Nero. You need Vanguard 1. You got almost all of that, except with the exception of the Brother Nero. I was like, damn, Mike is probably fucking ready to drop a load in his underwear right now. He's like, oh my God, it's first Senor Benjamin sighting in how long? My dude was happy.
I mean, they needed that. I mean, it needed that type of a twist to it. Now, I mean, and then they're bringing back the Lake of Reincarnation. Mm-hmm. I mean, so you're going to see a lot of crazy shit. I mean, if Bray Wyatt gets thrown in the lake, is he going to come back out as Husky Harris? I don't know. You're going to see some wacky shit with this. And I think, and Jeremy Borash is actually producing this from what I've read. So that's good. That's really good because he was the mastermind behind all the stuff that happened in Impact. Mm. So I'm hoping that it's wacky to where it's entertaining, but not wacky to where it's like, you guys are doing too much. And I think it's going to be a perfect way to end this feud. And when I say end it, I mean done. Like, no more.
Not to miss it. No more
let's
WrestleMania.
Let's not have a match at Rania. No, we're done. You guys, thanks for coming. Let's move on. Bray Wyatt, go find somebody else the job to. Matt, find something with your family. I mean, I can't do this anymore, guys.
What about a Louisiana parking lot brawl or something? What if they go back to Bray's hometown? Where's he from? I don't know where he's from. New Orleans. What if they do a New Orleans street fight?
Oh, man. God. Let me ask you a question.
Never-ending feud. Again.
You fucking marks. God damn it. What was the name of the first one when it was Matt versus Jeff? Was that the Final Deletion?
Final Deletion, yes. Because I watched.
What was the one where it was the tag team ones where you had the Rock and Roll Express in it?
Final Apocalypto or Tag Team Apocalypto.
That's the one that it was. Yeah, that one was hilarious, dude. That's why I'm glad when you said Jeremy Borash is producing this because he did all that shit. You're right. And again, he's gonna have to yield to Vince a little bit, but I hope that it's shot in a very similar fashion. I love the fact that it actually looked better, that they did it wacky, but it looked brighter. They used the good cameras. It didn't look like, underground bullshit. It looked cool. But I mean, if it's a fucking Hardy compound with a 6-camera shoot, bro, seriously, I'm gonna be annoyed.
I'm just thinking about. Sorry.
One of the funny things that when you bring up the Tag Team Apocalypto was the one scene where they kind of took a shot at Triple H, where it was
you said this last
party and
the man with the 3 H's would be proud of us.
Yeah, and they eliminated this one young up and coming tag team, and all of a sudden they just show them burying them with shovels, throwing dirt on them, and then it's just next thing you know he's oh, the man with 3 H's would be proud of us for burying this young talent, and they gave the camera a thumbs up, just shit like that. It just makes it entertaining. It's fun.
I want everybody out there who has somebody who's never watched wrestling or just doesn't watch wrestling in your family, or whether it be a loved one, sit them down for whenever this is on, just to like, hey, you want to watch wrestling with me? And just to see like what it is, like for the casual fan who's never seen it before, you know what I mean? Is going through the channels and this appears. I want to see those videos of just people like watching it for the first time.
All right, we got to take a vote because, again, we said last week we don't have a lot of faith in WWE. They did good this week with the promo shooting, right? I think we would all agree on that. It kind of got our interest. But yay or nay, are we going to be talking about how great this was next week, or are we going to be talking about how big of a pile of shit this was next week?
I think we're gonna love it. I think we're gonna like it. I think it's just we need something. We need this. We need something to take the edge off, and I think this will be good.
Mike,
you know what? It scares me when you say it is in the hands of the WWE. Like I'm going in this with expectations, and sometimes when I go into stuff with high expectations, I come out disappointed. And when I go in stuff with low expectations, I come out actually surprised. But I'm gonna say, yay! I think this is going to be entertaining.
all right, well, because I got to be that motherfucker, it's going to be a pile of shit, boys. Get your pens and paper ready and start writing your jokes now.
The fear of the golden touch by WWE when they take something and ruin it.
I really do, because everyone's like, because they were shitting on this angle for the longest time, and now we're kind of gone somewhere with it. They do this all the time. They shit all over something, and then they finally do something to finally get your attention, and then it's like jerking off and edging. Like you're almost there, and then you stop. It's like edging. It's like, oh, what'd you stop for? You watch.
Well, I guess
we're going to be having the edging conversation. I'm telling you.
Well, if you're just tuning in for that, you probably want to find out what else is going to happen today, guys. Speaking of great storylines and crazy characters, we have Mike Quackenbush joining us, the CEO of ChikaraPro.com. Check him out. Right, joining us today is a wrestler who, for more than 20 years, has made professional wrestling. From production to publishing, from performance to podcasting, every piece of the puzzle, he has done it all. Mike Quackenbush, the master of 1,000 holds, is joining us today. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Now, Mike, this goes back a little bit. I remember in high school, I was at an independent show, probably one of my first ones, and I remember seeing you wrestling. This is probably around 1999, 98, 99-ish. It was probably when, the Attitude Era was going on. I didn't really go out to too many independent shows, but I went to my first independent show, and I discovered Mike Quackenbush. I became an instant fan. You guys were, you were working with guys like Reckless Youth and a lot of others. The stuff that you were doing, I wasn't really seeing too much of on TV, if you will, at that time. But do you have any fond memories, maybe of starting out, or maybe just wrestling back then in the 90s? Because, I mean, like I said, the first time I saw you, I became an instant fan.
Well, thanks for that. And the time period you're referring to, those are like my hard traveling years. The years that I wrestled the most number of matches per year. Maybe a couple of years that were between 100 and 150 matches in a year. Were 1998 and 1999 and into the early part of 2000 for me. Yeah, I was out there all over the place. A lot of times there were weekends where we jam in 2, 3, or even 4 if we could double shot on a Saturday. And Reckless Youth was my most frequent both traveling mate and in-ring opponent. There were times when, we would shoot up to Northeast Wrestling up in Connecticut. We'd come right back down, hit a couple Jersey independents, cross over into PA. Sometimes we would not even get out of our gear. If we had 2 performances on the exact same day, we'd do the afternoon one, stay in our gear, and just drive to the next commitment that we had. So more than once, we would show up well warmed up and already dressed at our evening appearance. So I don't miss the hectic pace of that, but yeah, I do have a lot of very fond memories, and especially being up in Connecticut back then when I worked with Mike O'Brien's Northeast Wrestling, a lot of really fond memories. The first time I was ever in a locker room with Jerry Lawler, getting to just kind of overhear him telling stories about Andy Kaufman was thrilling to me as a devotee of Kaufman's. He is one of only 2 wrestlers, by the way, to ever introduce himself to me using like his ring name. He shook my hand and said, "Hi, the King." And I thought, I was like, "Hi, I'm Mike." And then the only other guy who ever did that to me, he just did it to me over the weekend. I was down in Annandale, Virginia, teaching at Nova Pro Wrestling. I did a seminar down there, and a guy walked up to me and shook my hand. He said, "Hi, I'm the Urban Legend." I was like, "What?"
I love it.
Are you a chupacabra? What do you mean you're the Urban Legend? What does that mean? But that made me think about Jerry Lawler and being up there for Northeast Wrestling. And they really drew some wonderful crowds.
Oh, they still do. Yeah, they still do. Doing great. But yeah, like I said, you were probably one of the first. Like, I didn't go to too many shows. I mean, I was watching what was on TV from Monday Night Raw to whatever. And at that time, I wasn't really venturing out to too many independent shows. And I heard about this show, went to it, and the rest is history, if you will. But like I said, I became a fan of you then. You had a great career, but within that time, you retired in 2013, but you're still busy as ever from what I see. I mean, you are the creator and owner of Chikara and also the training center, the Wrestling Factory. Can you tell us, though, a little bit about Chikara and maybe why every fan out there just needs to check it out if they haven't already?
Sure. If you've never ever heard of Chikara, it's the Japanese word for power or influence. And in the very planning phases of Chikara and our training facility, the Wrestle Factory as well, we often looked at Michinoku Pro as a blueprint. And Michinoku Pro, which is kind of quarantined up in the northeast corner of Japan, is an independent organization which still exists to this day, although I would argue that their golden period is from like 1995 to 1998 maybe. They had this wonderful fusion of styles. So they weren't just high-flying Japanese wrestlers. They also had influences from Europe and from Mexico. And from the United States as well. One of their top stars, Super Delphin, is an out-and-out fan of Randy Savage and Mr. Perfect. So there's all these wonderful ingredients that get mixed together to make this just like super tasty dish with Michinoku Pro. And not that you didn't see that some places here in the United States. Like I could point to WCW's Cruiserweight division in the late 90s as another place where you could look and kind of see this hybridization of styles. But that really excited my imagination. And I co-founded Chikara with Reckless Youth. Even though he departed the company just 8 months into its existence, in the planning phases, in the initial planning phases, he was a big part of what could we accomplish? What could we do? Mm-hmm. And part of what characterized Tom's experience, Tom Carter being his name, was that he was fresh back from being in the WWF's developmental system for a little over a year. And he came back from that a really changed individual. In one way, I think they succeeded in beating his passion for wrestling out of him. So we really needed something that kind of like excited both of our imaginations, that made us feel inspired. And so that hybridization of in-ring wrestling styles you will certainly see at Chikara, and I take a great deal of pride in imparting that to every graduate of the Wrestle Factory. But in a larger sense, I would say our storytelling is most akin to if you grew up reading comic books, Silver Age and Bronze Age Marvel and DC comic books, or like if you're a fan right now of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there are more fantastical elements. We don't shy away from indulging in the supernatural or the paranormal or the superhuman type stuff. I like elements of fantasy or science fiction in my storytelling, and I feel like we have license to get away with that because we no longer must labor under this misimpression that fans don't understand the artifice of pro wrestling. Quite the contrary. Fans understand professional wrestling for what it is, and they love it for what it is. But this gives us a chance to really take all of it, the performance, the story, the characters, every element that makes up pro wrestling, and take it to a really far extreme. Now, sometimes, especially lately, I feel like we've been mischaracterized as like comedy wrestling. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's because we do have a sense of humor. Mm-hmm. Like that's true. And, like unlike some of the backstage vignettes you might watch on Monday Night Raw, our sense of humor is funny. But I don't think it's fair to say that we're comedy wrestling, even if we all happen to have a sense of humor. I think what we are is something other than that.
Sure. Now, I mean, even from wrestling and training, though, you've transitioned to training a lot, too. Do you enjoy training maybe now more than actual wrestling back in the day, or is it kind of like on an even level?
I certainly enjoy the teaching aspect of it, and it took me a long time to become a good teacher. When the Wrestle Factory opened, I think I was a lousy teacher. I didn't have much choice, though. When Tom resigned from the Wrestle Factory 8 months in, suddenly all the responsibilities were mine. The things that Tom, who outside of his life as a professional wrestler, he's a certified public accountant. Tom was always really good with the numbers and the budgeting and all that sort of stuff, which doesn't interest me, nor is it really my forte. He was also a very good teacher, and that was not my forte. So I had to learn to be a good teacher, and I do find it very rewarding. I enjoy being out there and traveling the world and being able to teach, whether it's in-ring mechanics. I certainly love my wacky submission holds and international styles. But a lot of times, like just this past weekend, I had every intention of kind of lacing up my shoes and getting in the ring. And instead, based on the suggestions of the people that attended the seminar, we just talked for 2 hours. We talked about all kinds of other elements that make up the performance. And I'm happy to do that, too.
No, definitely. Now, you also have a book out, 7 Keys to Becoming a Better Performer, a book for fellow pro wrestlers. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe why you wrote this and what you think other wrestlers will get out of it?
Sure. I think I wrote it mostly for 2 reasons. One being the same types of topics or questions kept getting asked everywhere I went to teach. So it didn't matter if I was teaching here in North America or I went to another continent or wherever I went, there was like a universality to the kinds of questions I was being asked by whether they were rookies or intermediate level or really advanced seasoned pros that were attending my seminars. And I felt like there is a body of information no one's really talking about in professional wrestling. And I felt like when I was younger in professional wrestling, nobody ever talked to me about it. But there used to be a prevailing thought that maybe some of the veteran performers did not want to impart all of their knowledge to up-and-comers for fear that they would take their spot, right? There's always somebody younger, better looking, with crazier moves, a little more charismatic, a fuller head of hair, whatever, chasing right behind you. And if this guy knows all the tips and tricks that you know, then where's your job security? So there was this tendency, I think, on the part of the veterans to withhold really key bits of information that prevented the younger classes from becoming the best wrestlers they could be. And I kind of think that's bogus. So I wanted to kind of put all of that down. That was one main reason I wrote the book. The other was just by a weird scheduling snafu, all the people really important to me in my personal life were like on trips or vacations or going away for 6 days. And for the first time in years, I had 6 days to myself. And I thought, like, what am I going to do? I mean, I've got a really deep Netflix queue I could catch up on. Like, maybe that? But I used to write far more prolifically. I wrote for Pro Wrestling Illustrated, The Wrestler, and that family of magazines for 10 years. So I have hundreds and hundreds of published articles there. And 7 Keys is my 8th book. But the majority of my books were written between 2000 and 2010. So quite a number of years had gone by without me really publishing anything because the majority of the writing I do now is just, it's not for public consumption. And all these things together kind of motivated me to want to write that. My hope is that if a professional wrestler reads this book, even just one chapter of it, there will be information in there that they can immediately incorporate into a performance they might have later that same day. It's not stuff that needs to go into the oven and bake and bake and bake. Now, some of them are. However, there's lots of immediately actionable items in the book, ways to take your performance up a notch or two. And that also informed the companion podcast I made for the book. It was called Kayfabe 2.0.
Nice. Now, with all these books, I mean, do you find... sometimes it's usually hard to convey what's in your head onto paper. Was it natural for you becoming an author too, just with all this wrestling knowledge, just to be able to convey to all the fans and wrestlers out there?
Sort of. I think over the years I've gotten better at expressing it. I've had a couple opportunities in recent years to do public speaking engagements, and sometimes when I do these, for example, I gave a TED Talk-like speech a couple years ago at a conference called Ignite Philly. And I had been advised in advance, they said, you will have precisely 5 minutes. Like at the 5-minute, 10-second mark, they just darken the stage. So everything you want to say you better be able to get it out clearly and concisely and do it all in 5 minutes. But having those kinds of challenges has forced me to kind of bring a concision to the way that I communicate. And it's got to be very effective. You know, you might not hold the attention of a crowd for more than a moment or two, so you better be able to make your point pretty clearly.
Definitely. Now, aside from, like I said, I saw you in the 90s. You've wrestled into the 2000s, whatever you want to call it. Now, there was a different time back then to where for me, it was tape trading. A lot of us were getting VHS tapes of different wrestling shows, watching it when we could. Or if we were lucky enough to be in whatever region, we'd see it on TV. But nowadays, social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatnot, how has that probably helped you or just helped your company, Chikara, or just, wrestling in general, do you think, of how, accessible it is today as opposed to what it was back then? I mean, is the world we live in, what I'm trying to get to, just good for pro wrestling?
Well, Chikara could not exist before the ubiquity of the internet. It just would not be possible. There were far fewer independent wrestling organizations before the proliferation of the internet. You have this vast resource in which you have the ability to connect with fans that might like your particular flavor of wrestling. And before the internet, I think back to those shows, right? I started performing in 1994. This kind of predates the ubiquity of the internet. I am well acquainted with the old-timey tradition of, a van of guys with staple guns and these carnival-style posters that are like pink on the top and yellow in the middle and blue on the bottom with names printed on them. You drive through a town stapling these to phone poles in the hopes that in 3 weeks people turn up at the wrestling card. Mm-hmm. And as a method of marketing these days, one, that's not particularly effective anymore, right? It seems kind of quaint to even reference that. Beyond which, little pointer for you if you're listening, some towns fine you for doing that.
Wow.
Because that happened to us once. We were fined $20 for every poster we had stapled to a phone pole, and we had to drive back through the town, taking them all down within 48 hours.
Oh, man.
Right, good learning experience for us. We were like, let's not do that ever again. So, yeah, it's really just completely changed the way in which you connect with an audience. And especially what we make at Chikara, I am well aware, our flavor of wrestling is not for everyone, right? Like, you might need to have a kind of wink-winky subversive sense of humor. You might need to like superhero tropes a little bit more than the average wrestling fan for Chikara to be up your alley. And we would not be able to find a sustainable audience without the tool that is the internet. We're fortunate in that we're able to connect with fans everywhere. And this is top of mind for me is we were just packing up merchandise. Like, here goes a box of our stuff to Japan. Mm-hmm. How on earth in 1993 would that fan have even known we existed? Maybe only, like the ways that were available to us back then. I would every once and again get like a newsletter or catalog type thing in the mail with tapes I could order if I wanted to. But in no way, shape, or form did that contain the kind of compelling multimedia that you could embed right now into a tweet. Right, I can embed a 2-minute and 20-second video into a tweet, an animated GIF, a high-resolution photograph. It seems so completely antiquated, but yet I remember it very fondly when that new newsletter would turn up in my mailbox with the listing of all the goofy wrestling tapes that you could possibly order, just printed there in inky black and white, waiting to get all over your fingertips.
I'm a big fan of tournaments like King of the Ring, or where they have the Battle of Los Angeles. But you won the inaugural King of Trios. Can you tell us a little bit about this tournament, maybe what makes it a little bit special and different than others?
Well, as we often tout, it is the biggest tournament in all of professional wrestling because 48 wrestlers come together to comprise 16 trios. And there was actually a tournament in the last year or so that was meant to happen in England, which would have been bigger. It was meant to have more than 48 wrestlers, but it was canceled. They didn't have it. And as someone who's been instrumental in organizing some King of Trios tournaments, I can tell you why, because it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare to get that many wrestlers all to do the same thing on the same day. So, yeah, that remains King of Trios' sort of value statement, right? You're not going to find another tournament that's got 48 professional wrestlers in it. And The 11th one is, right around the corner. We just started unveiling the trios, as a matter of fact. The Nexus trio of Darren Young and Justin Gabriel and Michael Tarver was the first trio that we announced this year for King of Trios. And not even 24 hours ago, Abby Lath, recently released from NXT, returns as Princess Kimberly to Chikara to team with Los Ice Cream. So the second team has been revealed of the 16 trios for this massive 3-day tournament that we put together. And it's kind of grown into an experience. By that, I mean, we take over one venue for an entire weekend. There's all kinds of additional activities that you can attend, that you can participate in, like our fan conclave. If you want to sit and play video games against the wrestlers in the tournament, like that's the only place where that's going to happen. So it's kind of blossomed into this more robust, fully realized fan experience, which is super fun for us, but also super fun for the fans. And I'm pleased to see the way that it's kind of evolved, despite the fact as like a work-related project, it always looms like this impossibly large monster on the horizon. The actual weekend itself is generally like a joyous one that kind of reminds everybody what it is they love about this great art form.
Definitely. What else can maybe the fans expect this year from Chikara? Anything that we just don't know yet about? Maybe hinting at anything, or once again, too, for fans out there who maybe just don't. Well, I don't know a lot of people who don't know about it, but maybe who are just being introduced to it for the first time. Where to find it, how to watch it, and all that other stuff.
Well, we put out a ton of free multimedia, especially on our YouTube channel. But if you wanted to dive into the video vault itself, you can get there's like at least a free week's trial that you'll get on Chikaratopia. Chikaratopia.com is our sort of proprietary Netflixy type service. So on there, not only will you find 800 hours of our past events going back all the way to season 1. We're currently in our 19th season. So there's plenty for you to browse there. But I would say, especially now, there is no better time to try Chikaratopia for this reason. Every event from our home base, the Wrestle Factory in Philadelphia, will live stream on Chikaratopia. So there's something like 20 events this season that we're going to be live streaming, including this Saturday. This Saturday, the first stage of our Young Lions Cup tournament, our annual showcase for rookies, will be live streaming on Chikaratopia. So even if you can't make it to Philadelphia or you can't make it out to see us, at all during this year, well, we'll be as close as your pocket. Anywhere you can get the internet, you can stream Chikaratopia.
I've seen your wrestlers. I've seen the guys here and there, maybe certain events, I think at certain Comic-Cons and whatnot. And I'll tell you what, it interests me beyond what I see out there today. And it's just like a totally different world of wrestling that everybody loves and should check out. I think just for listening to this, just please, I encourage everybody, ChikaraPro.com. You'll find all the links on there. But Mike, what else? Where can everybody else find your book, hear more about you, maybe even find anything else that they ever need to know about you?
A great place to start is my Twitter, at Mike Quackenbush. I'm always doing my best to get the word out there about all the various projects or where I'm teaching next. And my latest book, 7 Keys to Becoming a Better Performer, a book for fellow pro wrestlers, is most easily obtained through Amazon.com. You can get it digitally delivered to your device within seconds. And if you got that sweet, sweet Amazon Prime, like a drone will drop it on your porch by tomorrow. So yeah, if that intrigues you at all, check that out. Please leave me a review. Or if you're not ready to take the plunge, as I said, there was a companion podcast, and it's certainly out there in the ether to live on forever thanks to the internet. It's called Kayfabe 2.0. It's very much about how modern wrestlers approach the challenge of engaging with how audiences are in 2000, as I recorded it, 17, now 2018. And that might give you some real insight into the type of content that's contained in the book, and it won't cost you a dime to check it out. Kayfabe 2.0. It's on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, anywhere fine podcasts are sold.
Well, perfect. Well, Mike, I could talk to you all day. We'll definitely have you back on. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you giving me a platform to talk about the stuff I love.
All right, guys, it's less than 20 days, I said before, until WrestleMania. This is it, man. We're on the road to WrestleMania. We're going to have a WrestleMania show, so we're not going to go too crazy into it, but what I want to read or talk about is some of the matches that have just been added within a week since our last show. So, like, they're gearing up for WrestleMania. We already have a lot of matches and probably only a few more to go to be added, I think, unless they're going to start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But, guys, let's talk about some of the new matches really quick. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Not new match, but it's official. AJ won his match at Fastlane. Shinsuke Nakamura, this is happening, guys. So official. People are happy. People want to see it really main event the show. Guys, are your nerves calm? Are you happy now? Like, this is really happening.
I'm good. I just hope it closes the show. I really do, because if Brock Lesnar and Roman close the show, that crowd is going to be so fucking pissed off. Especially New Orleans, because that's where Brock Lesnar beat the streak and silenced a stadium full of people. And they already don't like him for that reason. Certain cities tend to hate certain wrestlers for certain events. Montreal hated Bret Hart, etc., etc. So this needs to close the fucking show. I want the show to end on a happy note, because whoever wins that match, I'm going to be happy for, because I think it's going to be a fucking great match.
I haven't even watched it since last year, but that's how the show closed last year. Was Brock and Reigns? No, what am I thinking about?
Reigns and Taker.
Reigns and Taker
closed the show. But the year before that was Brock and Reigns, right? Or Reigns won it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No.
Roman did not win. That's when
Roman and Triple
H.
Triple H.
Yeah, which the entire match, the crowd was chanting NXT names.
My goodness,
the crowd was not into that match whatsoever. I'm very excited for this match. I really am. I mean, for a moment with Fastlane, I was a little nervous that Vince, was just gonna have a moment and panic, thinking that these guys aren't going to be able to do what they can do and throw a Cena in there or throw somebody else in there to kind of shake it up a little bit. But these guys are going to kill it. I think in order to get this storyline across to the casual fans, because to the casual fans, they look at AJ Styles as the guy, and they look at Nakamura as not having a chance against AJ Styles. They don't know the history that these guys have in New Japan. So I think if they're smart, they need to educate these casual fans to let them know that Nakamura does have a chance because he has AJ's numbers. He's beaten AJ in a stadium, in the Tokyo Dome. He's beaten him once before. So, and then AJ needs to use that too, where like, I wanted to win at Fastlane because I wanted you, because you beat me. You have a win over me, and I want to get that win back. So I think that's how they need to build this. And I think they need to have at least a good 25 minutes to just go out there and kill it. And then, and in my opinion, they do need to close the show. I don't think they are, but I think they should.
Yeah, I hope Vince can see, like, hey, this was kind of a big deal overseas. Let's make it a bigger deal at WrestleMania. Like, outshow New Japan. In my mind, this is what I think he should do, but we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be good. I don't want. What I think about this match and a lot of other matches, which we're not going to get too much into because we're going to have another show about it, but early predictions, what I see is a lot of these people going in as champion, I want to see walk out as champion, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But I mean, especially this match, AJ Styles, I think he deserves the win at Mania final, or I don't think he's had a win at Mania in 2 years, right? I don't know, but anyway,
he won last year.
Yeah, but. Either way, that's early talk. Charlotte versus Asuka. We've already talked about it, but all I want to hear from you guys is basically your early prediction. Win, lose, or draw. Who's walking out of there champion?
I'm gonna tell you right now. I mean, as much as you don't want that streak to end, as much as you want the streak to end. Excuse me, it's not going to end. I think these girls are going to go out there and kill it. I think they're going to have a great match, and so far, besides the lack of English with Asuka, I think the build-up is perfect. I think you have the Queen versus the Empress, and I think it would have been better if Charlotte still had her pay-per-view streak, because then that's streak versus streak, and that would have been an amazing build-up for WrestleMania. But WWE dropped the ball on that because they're idiots, but you're still going to have a great match out of these two.
Honestly, I have a bold prediction. We're going to be talking about this match for years to come. I think this could potentially be the greatest women's match ever in WWE history. And the reason I say this is because, again, you said it's the perfect storm. You have the Queen versus the Empress. And let me tell you something. If you want to surpass Daddy's legacy, which you probably never will, Charlotte, because he is a 2-time Hall of Famer. However, how many WrestleMania matches do we talk about in terms of Ric Flair? Not too many, if any. He doesn't have that WrestleMania moment. And I'm telling you, this could be the match that puts her, just above the rest. And Asuka is the perfect person to work with, I think, in this situation for her. This could be Savage versus Steamboat.
No, yeah, and this is where we'll go back to my last comment of the last match, where I think this is another match where the champion walks in and the champion walks out just for another shock value. If, Asuka loses, it's a big deal. But I think they've built Charlotte up so much that Vince doesn't want to ruin it. He wants to, because you see what happens with some of these the women, they come and they go, whatever, to where Vince, I think, would really want to cement her as being one of the greatest of all time. And does he want to give that, I don't know, to Asuka? Or I don't know, it's one of those things where I feel like he's behind Charlotte more than he is Asuka, and to use Asuka's first loss to boost Charlotte even more, I don't know. It's just one of those matches I think the champion's going to walk out again, but whatever.
You know what, though, Credo? I agree with you, but I think if it's a damn good match, I really don't think it matters who wins or loses. Because even if Charlotte was to lose the belt to Asuka in this case, if it's like, holy shit, what a fucking match, your career doesn't get hurt by a loss, even if it's a title loss. If anything, her getting back to the title is going to be a big story. Yeah, for sure. And, I know we talked about it briefly before, but just one last time, I think this could be a cash-in match just for shock value. I think it's one of those things just like Vince just wants to do to you. Ever since the streak ended, he still wants to, if he's not going to bring in a big celebrity, he's going to look for some kind of thing to shock you. And you may not like her or whatnot, but it's still shock value where, either the streak ended or, Charlotte beat the streak, boom, gets cashed in on, boom. And it's like neither of them will get the belts. But anyway, we still got a lot more WrestleMania to talk about. Cena vs. Taker we talked about came in. That's all ready to go. Guys, early prediction, though, without getting too much into it, just who do you want to win right now?
I'm gonna go with Cena. Only because this is going to be Taker's last match. It has to be. I hope.
That's what I was going to say. I didn't even give the stipulation to where. Yeah. Do you think they do it like a loser leave town kind of stipulation, or is it just a match?
I don't think you need a stipulation for the match. I don't think you need to add any more. If he like I mentioned earlier, if he comes in as the American Badass, right there, kind of will sell the match because it's something new. It's something special. If this is your last match, you go out on your back. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that at WrestleMania 36 and 37, Taker's not coming back. So I'm hoping that this is his last match.
This could really go either way. And again, it depends what Undertaker we get. If you want the dead man and the dead man wants to come back, well, the dead man hung up his gloves. I could see him doing to John Cena what he did to Shawn Michaels. You want another shot at me at WrestleMania, you got to put your career on the line. Which then makes it interesting to me, because we all know Undertaker, win, lose, or draw, probably not coming back. Is John Cena coming back? I mean, a lot of people, when they want to go and they want to leave, they handpick who they want to hand their career to. And we've always argued that, hey, maybe it should be somebody, that next up-and-comer, pass the torch. But we've seen it in a lot more situations, like Ric Flair. I gave my career to Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels gave his career to Undertaker. Older veterans who they respect. So I could see, if this is John Cena's last match, just for argument's sake, and you go that route, and you have to put your career on the line if you want the dead man at WrestleMania, who's to say that maybe John Cena's not done? I mean, this build up to his storyline, him just getting to WrestleMania has been
that's a good point.
Such a strain on him, and it's been this very great storyline. I've really enjoyed it. So who's to say? Maybe this is it. Maybe we finally get to say, thank you, Cena, even though Cena sucks, Chad. I don't know.
Yeah, this Mania is building up to be a really good Mania because honestly, a lot of these matches have me guessing, except for the Roman Reigns, we know he's going to win. But a lot of these matches have me guessing what we're going to have. But another match was added to, if you guys didn't see it, 205 Live is so much fucking better to watch now. It's amazing when you give somebody who knows what they're doing the reins of something. And do you see it, Vince? Anyway, the Cruiserweight match, Cedric Alexander is on his way to WrestleMania, guys. It's almost turning into what happened before the whole thing happened with, you know, how you doing? And it seems like we're going to
What was that guy's name again?
Exactly. He's gone, man. Out of sight, out of mind. But
Eric?
Eric.
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
You doing? Versus either Drew or Mustafa. Guys, this is... I'll tell you what, man. Either one. I'd love to see Drew versus Cedric. I'd love to see Mustafa versus Cedric. Hell, I'd love to see another three-way match at Mania given to all three of these guys. But either way, who's going to Mania? Because either way, this match better not just be on the pre-show and better actually make it on the DVD this year. But guys, who's going to Mania with Cedric?
It's got to be Gulak. It has to be. And I say that because I remember Mustafa Ali after they had that barn burner of a match after Enzo got stripped. And it's like, we're going to build this brick by brick. And we had Cedric versus Mustafa Ali. And we go through this entirely great tournament just to get the same match we've already seen. I want to see Cedric versus this new and vicious Drew Gulak. It's that, different styles clashing that to me is very interesting. I mean, you got two high flyers, it's going to be fucking spot monkey fest. That's great. And especially for WrestleMania, but it's an intriguing matchup. The grappler versus a high flyer. This really broke my heart because I really love Roddy Strong. I would have loved to have seen a Roddy versus Gulak, but then again, you're not getting that contrast of styles. So if we get at least one grappler and one high flyer in there, I'm good.
Poor Roddy Strong.
I'm not even going to go on because you took the words right out of my mouth. As much as I'd love to see Mustafa Ali, and they killed it. They had that amazing match to put 205 Live back on the map. I mean, if I get Mustafa Ali, I am okay with it because I know they're going to go out there and tear it down. But I want Drew Gulak because I've been a fan of Drew Gulak for a while, and I think this guy deserves it. I mean, granted, he was running around with Enzo and being kind of like the comedy act, but now he has that rougher side, but he still has that persona as the comedy guy, but when he's in the ring, it's turned up a couple of notches. So I'm looking at a Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak at WrestleMania. I think that's going to be a great matchup.
And that's a shame because that Roddy versus Cedric match was the match of the tournament thus far. No, hands down. Not even anything was. Nothing is even close to that match.
Or Roderick Strong. I feel like they have their own division of guys who just keep failing. From Roderick Strong to the fucking guy from the UK division. I forget his name. There's too many names in my head right now.
Tyler Bate.
I'm not going to get into it, guys, but Roderick Strong is fine.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Because you know what? You're right, Credo. You know who was like that too?
Who's that?
Who had his great long losing streak? Andrade Cien Almas was on that exact thing. He was losing all the fucking time. Now look at him, baby.
I know, man. It's when you reach rock bottom, the only way to go is up. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm hoping they actually put the Cruiserweight Championship in the fucking Mania because that's the match to give people a break and just, well, not a break. You know what I mean? Like, just give them something more exciting than just seeing, whatever. But another match that they really haven't announced, but it seems like it's going this way. And from Raw, what the fuck? In my personal mind, really quick, Braun Strowman should be facing the Beast this year. The Beast versus the Monster, that's a WrestleMania match for me. But they have no idea what to do with him, and they have no idea what to do with their tag team division because who did the Revival piss off? that they're not having a match at WrestleMania, but Sheamus and Cesaro could be facing Braun Strowman for the WWE Raw Tag Team Championship. Hasn't been officially made. We have to see what happens next week. But guys, really, I mean, of all the tag teams they have on there, none of those guys are going to be doing anything except for if they have a Andre Memorial Battle Royal, which they haven't even said yet. But I don't. Their whole tag team division was buried in like 2 weeks just for a Braun Strowman tag match, or what? I'm confused. I'm lost.
I really got a feeling Braun Strowman is not going to WrestleMania alone. I think the whole Elias storyline where he's just been beating the shit out of this guy begrudgingly is just going to be his partner, because if he doesn't, he's going to get these hands, bro. I'm telling you. It's just so funny. It's been such great television. And for these two to continue on, you know what? It's not what I would have wanted for Braun, but it's something different. And to me, I don't want Braun Strowman to be that guy where it's like, oh, well, now they're pushing that big guy down our throats and he beat Brock Lesnar. I don't want him to be Roman Reigns. I want him to do different shit. You know, I want him. I want to enjoy him to the point where it's like, all right, I don't want to get bored of seeing him run through everybody, and you know, I like seeing him chase something as opposed to just, you know, I don't know, maybe that's just me.
Well, Mike, if he's going with adding Elias to it, do you think they're gonna go the route of letting him win the tag championships by himself? Is that just another funny moment, or what?
You know, a lot of people were commenting that, you know, it's funny, but then when you realize it, it kind of diminishes the tag division, that one guy is going to win the tag titles, but they're portraying Braun as this monster that can possibly do it. I actually kind of like the idea of Elias being thrown in there because WWE loves that idea of that strange bedfellows tag team idea. They love that concept. I mean, Team Hell No was strange bedfellows. I mean, Austin and Shawn McMichaels. McMichaels, wow. Shawn Michaels.
The bar was started that way too, Mike.
Yeah, they were strange bedfellows and they became a tag team. So I think this is going to go fine. You know, if it wasn't Brock Lesnar, I'd be okay with Braun being in the main event at WrestleMania. But like I said, I've mentioned this before and I'm going to say it again. We saw them in October wrestle each other, or was it September? Either one. And that match was horrible. I don't know if Lesnar likes working with Braun, because we saw at the Royal Rumble when they worked together again. They didn't really have great chemistry, and Braun accidentally hit him with a knee, and we saw what Lesnar did. So Lesnar could just be backstage. He's like, I'm not working with this guy. I refuse to work with him, because we know Lesnar's Vince's boy, as Roman says. So, I mean, I think that Braun going in there with Elias, I think it's great, and I think they'll come out as tag champs.
All right. I have a feeling Lesnar feels like, you know, his stock diminishes if, you know, a guy who's as big as him, who's as strong as him, who's as athletic as him, makes him look like less of a man, whether it's in WWE or anywhere else. Yeah. You know, he's threatened by his spot, and it's one of those things. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to help this guy look good, because you know what? He's not taking my fucking spot.
I guarantee you in a couple of years, Braun is going to be that monster that Brock was.
Oh, no question.
I guarantee it.
And I'm glad that it's a slow build. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
give the guy time. He's still young. He got plenty of time. Back over to SmackDown. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, made by Shane McMahon. Guys, I was almost mad because I was thinking Shane's going to be like, he's going to inject himself into another match this year. But now he have made official Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. He kind of wrote himself off of TV with that little beat up at the end of SmackDown. I don't see him coming back. Like, it was a pretty big beating to where, okay, they'll probably just have him come back. But if he does come back, Is it another Shane match? Do we need a Shane match? I wouldn't mind seeing Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. They have enough a few weeks to build it up. I would be happy to see these guys get that match at Mania, considering just their whole career has been pretty much fight forever, right? So could you? What do you want to see? Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, or Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus like Shane McMahon and somebody else? I don't know. What do you think? I'm hoping for KO and Sami.
I think that you're going to get Shane in there somehow. That's the story.
Ref? Something stupid like that?
No, I think Shane's going to be a part of the match. I think it's going to be a triple threat.
I hope not.
I hope not.
You know what? But I mean, like, Cooter, you brought it up last week about how this Shane McMahon, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn storyline has to culminate at WrestleMania. It doesn't culminate if it's just these two in the ring with no Shane. So Shane's going to be a part of this somehow, some way.
Yeah, you're right. I just hope that he's like an official, or you know, I don't want to see him in the match. I'm kind of over the whole Shane thing. I'm tired of
you and me both.
Is anybody really paying money to see Shane McMahon?
They want to see him jump off of this Silver Dome. Which is not going to happen because he'll die. But I mean, he's not going to come back as a referee.
The Silver Dome is in Pontiac, Michigan, Booker.
I just pulled a Hulk Hogan, didn't I?
Yo, Mike Cologne.
It's a dome.
I'm coming for you, motherfucker.
But no, like, I mean, the way that Shane was taken out on SmackDown, he's not coming back as a referee. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it was just a big beating too, to where I'm almost like, are they really writing him off? Like, I don't know. It seemed weird, but yeah, it does seem like he'll be back. I guess whatever.
Is it Daniel Bryan not been on TV?
Yeah, he hasn't, but he said he'll be back next week, so we'll see what he's going to be doing too. Because man, it almost seemed like he was coming back for something, and I know this probably isn't going to happen, but it's one of those things I just want to ask: could we see a Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? Do you think is it a wasted spot if I'm just saying if they allow Daniel Bryan to wrestle, just having him in a tag match?
I said this weeks ago. I literally made this as a joke. I said it's going to be Sami and Kevin versus Shane and fucking Daniel Bryan. And as much as I would love to see Daniel Bryan, and your thought process is, well, we can protect him in the tag match. Mike, this was your point, by the way. But look who he has to be wrestling with as his partner, with those shitty rabid punches. This was your exact verbiage, Mike, and I couldn't agree with you more.
And not only that, but on Talking Smack, Shane brought up the fact of how Daniel Bryan has a connection with Sami and Kevin because of the authority angle. So, I mean, if that was made into a tag match in storyline aspects, can Shane trust Daniel Bryan to be a reliable partner, or is he going to side with Kevin and Sami who are fighting against the authority?
New triple threat: Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. I don't know. That'd be a good stable.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe things will change. I just want to get kind of into this because it is WrestleMania season. But we did start off with how we're going to kind of, last but not least, it's now the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal, guys. I'm not going to say the other word because that's forbidden now. It's just the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal.
That's right. It would have been the fucking Fabulous Moolah is the Harvey Weinstein of WWE.
If they still went through with this battle royal, the women should have just walked out to the Godfather's music.
Bow, 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 bow.
Oh my goodness! It is that road to WrestleMania, guys. But if you got to pick one winner for the the women's WrestleMania, or the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal, just fuck it. It's just the women's fucking Rumble. Who's winning it, guys? Who's walking out as the WrestleMania Women's Champion, Battle Royal Champion? Too many words.
I don't give a fuck.
I think you're going to get somebody who you least expect is going to win. Maybe you get someone from NXT like a Nikki Cross.
Yeah, because that's the way it tends to be. I mean, look at the last 2 years of the Andre one. We had Baron Corbin, and we had who last year was Mojo Rawley You know, look what wonders
career.
it did for Mojo. My God, look at him now.
But now that we're talking about the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, I read on the interweb, most reliable source ever,
www.
Because of the Andre the Giant documentary that's coming out in April on HBO, they want to make the Andre the Giant Battle Royal more significant and mean something. So I think from what I read that they're going to add a number one contendership for the title of your brand. Whoever wins that it's not like Money in the Bank where you can just call your shot anytime. You can call when the title match is happening, but you can't just do it that day. I think that adds a lot to it, and it makes it more special when there's something on the line. When it's just a trophy and it's just something.
Fuck the title shot. That trophy is beautiful.
Oh yeah, everybody's standing next to it. It does everything for them. I think they need to make that more special. Now here's my question too. Because of this new women's battle royal, are they going to do the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, or are they going to scratch it? Which I hope they don't.
That's what I'm thinking. I feel like there's so many other guy matches that's going to be scrapped. I don't know. 2 battle royals, and that's a lot. I don't know. It is a long time, but you still have the pre-show, or they could drop one of those on there. I
got a feeling the women's battle royal will be on the pre-show, especially if you're going to make it special, like you're saying, Mike.
Yeah, so, if they make it special, it has to be on the main show.
Maybe they want to bury it after they had so much bad press with the name change. But
when you look at the card of WrestleMania right now, you're looking at it on paper. How do you feel about it? Do you like this card on paper? Do you think it's going to be good, or do you think it just needs a little more to it?
We live in the world of overabundance right now, to where I grew up with WrestleManias where it was one-on-one, and now it's like we have to have a 3-way, a 4-way, a 5-way, a battle royal. Everybody's got to fucking win a trophy kind of a match, and I'm like, there's a lot of it. There's so many guys in wrestling now in the WWE that it's amazing. It's going to be almost up to 14 matches or so, and I think the biggest question is who's getting cut? Who's gonna suffer that fateful WrestleMania 29 where they cut Brodus Clay and Damien Sandow, right? And the Bellas or something, whatever that match was. I don't know, man. They're gonna realize how much shit they have, and if they have a musical performance, if Kid Rock sings, and
yeah. Well, looking at the card on paper, do you think it's going to be a good card, or you don't think it's going to be a good card?
I think it's going to be good. There's just a lot of things going on.
Okay. Cooter?
I'm very, very okay with this card. You know, the match that really bothers me more than anything, it really is the Kurt Angle, Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie match. I get it. You want to use that big name, she's going to draw from, but, I mean, we don't know what she's like in the ring. And if I want to see a good match with Ronda, I want to see her against somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing in the ring. And let's be honest, Stephanie McMahon doesn't. Kurt Angle, he's got to wear that fucking T-shirt's 2 sizes too big for him because motherfucker refuses to get on a treadmill. So this is going to be a very, very tough night for Triple H to help make this fucking match and make it a success. Yeah. When you're working with your wife who's very low experienced, Ronda, who honestly has no ring experience, and Kurt Angle, who's somebody who can't even say WWE. WWE. You know what I'm saying?
I found myself saying that sometimes too, where I'm just like, shit, what the fuck's going on with my life? Looking at the card right now on paper, I think it's going to be a great card. I think it's going to be good. I just hate going into pay-per-views with very high expectations. So we'll just see. But as of right now, I think the card looks good. I think you don't need to add any more. You don't need anything. You just need to start building.
There is going to be a few more things, but I mean, we'll have to find out those. I mean, but still, it's going to be who's got the 5-minute match, who's got the 30-minute match, who's got who gets canceled. I feel it just looks so stacked right now. And yes, I mean, it's still going to add some more, but still. Oof,
my God!
Someone's gonna get cut.
You know who I think gets the short match? Honestly, I think it's going to be the tag team title match with Braun. I think they're going to build up as Braun being this monster, and you're going to get, a tag in from Elias if he's a part of the match, and then all of a sudden Braun's going to come in and just kill everybody, and the match will be done in 5 minutes.
I'm looking at the very first WrestleMania that I've ever watched on pay-per-view. WrestleMania 8, probably one of the worst WrestleManias ever. Just to see if Credo is right. Look at this card. Listen to this. The dark match was the Beverly Brothers versus the Bushwhackers. Shawn Michaels versus El Matador, one-on-one. One-on-one, Undertaker versus Jake Roberts. One-on-one, Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper. Wait a minute, an 8-man tag, Credo. The Big Boss Man, Jim Duggan, Sergeant Slaughter, and Virgil. That's right. Mr. Fuck Money himself versus the Mountie, the Nasty Boys, and the Repo Man. But back to it. You're right. Randy Savage versus Ric Flair. Tatanka versus Rick Martel. The Natural Disasters versus Money Inc. Owen Hart versus Skinner. Why that's on that card, I'll never understand. And Hulk Hogan versus Sid. So it's mostly one-on-one matches, with the exception of that fantastic 8-man tag match. We had to get Big Boss Man in there with the
we have to have an episode dedicated to WrestleMania's worst matches. We really do. I think we have to have like an AWP episode dedicated to WrestleMania's worst matches. Because I know there's a lot out there. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about really poor matches. Like I watched WrestleMania 1 the other day just to see it. That was a shit show when you look at it today. Go back and watch it, ladies and gentlemen. They had the Executioner versus Tito Santana. And no one knew who the Executioner, his promo, his mask was on crooked, and it was all messed up, and his promo was horrible, and it was like a 2-minute squash match, but that was a match that never belonged on WrestleMania.
I think we should make a poll. Everybody's listening. If I use it, facebook.com/groups/pro-wrestling-marks. Let's make a poll of the worst matches, and then what we could do is watch them in real time and just kind of skip through them and talk about them. Wow, I would love it.
We got to get a group. Yeah, post up the answers yourself. Make your nominations. See if people will vote with you. That is true. And we could base that fucking list as the top 10 by votes.
There you go. It is that road to WrestleMania, guys. I don't want to get too much into it. We have a few more weeks to go. A lot of things are happening. Man, it's that road, boys. It's that road.
That's what I hate about the weekend. You got all that fucking wrestling. NXT and the Hall of Fame and WrestleMania and all the fucking indie shows and all their bullshit all around town. So much fucking wrestling. But, what are you looking forward to watching that weekend?
I'm not going to waste my time watching any of that shit. I'm going to wait for the results on another wrestling podcast, bitches.